He found it difficult to hear her through the unrelenting rat-tat-tat of the rain striking the metal carriage roof. At first he assumed the sonorous bang that cut through the clatter on the roof was thunder. But then the screaming started. The hairs on the back of Atlas's neck rose. He couldn't immediately make sense of the spine-tingling cries. But after a moment the panicked utterings took the form of a word he could discern only too well. And there was no mistaking its meaning. "Murder! Help! Murder!" Atlas threw open the carriage door and leaped into the street, his feet splash-landing in a puddle, the icy dampness immediately soaking through his leather dress slippers. "Atlas!" Liliana's concerned voice called out from behind him. "Have a care!" Slamming the carriage door hard behind him, he battled his way through the swirl of people and weaved through the snarled traffic. The carriageway was clogged with conveyances parked close to the theatre awaiting the return of their employers. He moved toward a crowd gathered near the portico where cries of distress could still be heard, pushing through the crush of elegant ladies and fashionable men, soldiers on furlough and fruit women carrying baskets laden with oranges. When he reached the front, Atlas peered down at the prone figure sprawled on the ground before him. The rain pouring off the rim of his top hat impeded his view, while the crude oil lamp suspended from the arches overhead provided minimal light. It was a woman. He could tell that much from her fine evening clothes. Silk and of the latest fashion. Expensive. He could not see what she looked like. In the rainy darkness her face was lost in black shadows. "She's been shot!" one of the soldiers exclaimed. Shock stamped the face of a middle-aged gentleman kneeling next to the woman. He suddenly scooped her up and staggered to his feet, carrying his burden. The woman's arm dangled lifelessly at her side. "Make way! Make way!" he commanded.
"I saw the one that done it!"
A woman's excited cry distracted Atlas from the grim scene before him.
"I seen it all! The man was kneeling beside her with a pistol in his hand."
Atlas turned toward the voice, a fruit vendor carrying oranges in a sling around her neck. "Did you get a good look at him?"
"I saw him, the one that done it, wearing black he is."
Damp, silver-streaked hair framed a narrow, lived-in face, and she was even more rain-soaked than he felt.
"Almost as tall as your lordship, but skinnier than a Seven Dials beggar compared to ye."
She pointed toward Hart Street.
"He ran that way."
Atlas scanned the crowd. It wasn't much to go on. Singling out the killer in this throng of people would be nearly impossible. But few men possessed Atlas's stature, and that was something at least. He started in the direction of Hart Street, nudging his way through the crowd, continually searching for a tall, thin figure clad in black. The darkness, umbrellas, and relentless rain contrived to make his task all the more difficult. After about 15 minutes of searching, by which time he was completely soaked to the skin, Atlas conceded defeat. He made his way back to the scene of the crime, but there was little left to see. The body was gone, as were the spectators who'd swarmed around the poor woman's corpse. Atlas stood there, hands planted on his hips, still stunned by what had just occurred, considering what to do next.
"The gentry cove took her away."
The speaker emerged from the building's shadows. Despite the rain, Atlas could discern the fruit vendor who claimed to have witnessed the murder. Something glinted in her hand.
"But he left this behind."
Under the cloudy lighting from the oil lamps overhead, he could just make out the outline of a slender stock and silver-encased barrel. The pistol? Where did you find that?
"The cull who done her in dropped it."
The killer? He stepped closer for a better look. She retreated.
"'Tis mine now, if you take my meaning."
He drew a few silver tokens from his pocket, enough to buy her a hot meal on this wet evening, and a few more besides that, and dropped them into her open palm. The money disappeared somewhere in her clothing before she handed her prize over. The pistol was cold against Atlas's skin, and a chill rippled through him to know it had recently been used to take a life. "What is your name?"
"Mary White."
Shoving the pistol into his pocket to shield it from the rain, he raised his eyes to meet the fruit woman's gaze. "Tell me, Mary, the gentleman who carried the lady away, did you see where he